Hey there! Welcome back to Story Slices, where we slice through the best Reddit tales just for you. Let's dive right into the first story. This one is an entitled People Pro Revenge story. Buying my little beach house was a dream come true. After years of scrimping and saving, I finally had my own slice of paradise right on the gorgeous Florida coastline. Sure, the place needed some fixing up, but I didn't mind getting my hands dirty. This was going to be my little beachy haven, a peaceful escape from the daily grind. The first few months were absolute bliss. I'd wake up to the sound of waves crashing and seagulls calling. The salty breeze coming through my window was better than any alarm clock. I'd take my coffee out to the patio and just watch the never-ending dance of the tides. Afternoons were spent strolling along the shore, collecting seashells and admiring the multicolored sunsets. I went to bed each night with a smile on my face, grateful for this tranquil new chapter. That is, until the homeowner association showed up. I'll never forget the day I came home to find a stern-looking woman pacing around my front yard, arms crossed, lips pursed, scanning every inch of my property with a judgmental glare. In one hand, she clutched a clipboard, no doubt ready to jot down every violation she could find. I approached her cautiously, already dreading whatever confrontation was about to unfold. "Excuse me, can I help you?" I asked. She spun around abruptly. "Are you the owner of this establishment?" The way she said establishment sounded more suited for a seedy bar than my quaint beach cottage. I nodded slowly. "I am, and you are?" "Margaret Smithers, president of the Shoreline Homeowner Association," she declared importantly. "I'm here to inform you that your little shack here is in violation of several homeowner association codes." My eyebrows shot up. Homeowner association codes? I wasn't aware this property was part of an homeowner association. Margaret scoffed. "Well, it is. Has been for years. All properties on this shoreline are required to comply with homeowner association regulations. It's right there in your deed, which you would know if you had bothered to thoroughly review the paperwork for this dwelling." She eyed my peeling paint and overgrown lawn disdainfully. I was stunned. When I purchased the cottage, there had been no mention of any homeowner association. I quickly reviewed the documents in my mind, wondering how I could have missed something so crucial. Margaret didn't give me long to ponder. "Now then, as you can clearly see, your property is an eyesore. The paint is faded and cracking. That front gate is practically falling off its hinges. And don't even get me started on that disaster you call a garden." She dramatically gestured at each violation like a prosecutor presenting evidence to a jury. "Those are all cosmetic issues," I argued weakly. "The structure itself is completely sound. I've been meaning to spruce things up a bit. I just haven't had the time. Regardless, you are still in violation of Homeowner Association Codes 96 through 114, which clearly state that all exterior surfaces must be properly maintained. I'm afraid I have no choice but to issue this official notice." She thrust the clipboard at me, a lengthy document attached. "You have 30 days to address these violations or face further punitive action." "Further punitive action? What exactly does that mean?" I asked worriedly. "It means that if you do not comply with homeowner association regulations, you will be fined $100 a day until these issues are resolved. If fines go unpaid for more than 60 days, the homeowner association has the right to place a lien on your home. And if violations continue uncorrected, we retain the option to initiate the eviction process and seize ownership of the property." My head was spinning. There was no way I could afford daily fines of that amount, but fixing all these supposed violations would cost a small fortune I didn't have. And eviction, seizing my home, this had to be some kind of nightmare. Margaret seemed to relish the distressed look on my face. "The choice is yours. I trust you will make the appropriate decision," she said smoothly before turning on her heel and marching away. I stood there, stunned and fighting back furious tears. I had drained my savings to buy this cottage, lovingly choosing each piece of secondhand furniture and beach-themed decor. This was supposed to be my sanctuary, and now this self-righteous homeowner association was trying to take it all away. Well, I wasn't going down without a fight. As soon as Margaret left, I got on the phone with my real estate agent, unleashing a tirade of questions about how this homeowner association nightmare had been allowed to happen. Unfortunately, he didn't have many answers. All he could tell me was that my property did fall within the purview of the homeowner association, and that their threats were legally viable if I didn't comply. With his sympathetic but unhelpful advice, I knew I was on my own. So I came up with a plan: comply on paper while fighting back behind the scenes. I immediately got estimates from contractors for the long list of repairs demanded by the homeowner association. I had no intention of actually hiring them, but I needed plausible deniability. I sent carefully worded emails to Margaret laying out my intended plan of action. She seemed pacified for the moment. Meanwhile, I was gathering intel for my counterattack. I dug up the contact info from my neighbors and started asking questions. Had they been forced into homeowner association compliance too? How much had it cost them? Would they be interested in fighting back against these bully tactics? The stories I heard were infuriating. Many of my neighbors were retirees and people of modest means, just like me. Some had been driven into debt or even foreclosure by homeowner association harassment. Everyone was too scared of retaliation to speak up. But now, we had strength in numbers. Once I had a core group united against the homeowner association, I contacted a lawyer friend of mine who agreed to help pro bono. He double-checked the property laws and deed information. While the homeowner association technically could make a claim to my land, their bylaws and procedures were shoddy at best. We decided our best recourse was an injunction to halt enforcement of homeowner association rules and fines until the matter could be fully reviewed in court. Meanwhile, mysterious complaints about the homeowner association started flooding the county permit office. They were forced to investigate claims of corruption, intimidation, and harassment. I may have dropped some anonymous tips to the local newspaper, who sent a young go-getter reporter to sniff out the brewing scandal. The homeowner association caught wind of the encroaching trouble and went into full damage control mode, which is how I found myself face-to-face once again with a very flustered Margaret Smithers. She rang my doorbell on a Saturday morning, devoid of her usual haughty demeanor. I crossed my arms and waited expectantly. It has come to my attention that certain actions taken by the Shoreline Homeowner Association may have been overzealous, she admitted. I said nothing, forcing her to squirm and continue. The fines and notices you received were clearly a misunderstanding and will be rescinded immediately. Let's just wipe the slate clean and start fresh, all right? I shook my head. I'm afraid it's too late for that, Margaret. You tried to threaten me out of my home. There have to be consequences. Her composure finally cracked. Please, don't drag our name through the courts. It will bankrupt the entire homeowner association. I'm begging you, just let this go and we will never bother you again. So you can harass the next innocent buyer who lands in your crosshairs? I don't think so. I gave you a chance to walk away and leave me in peace. You refused. It's time for you to face the music now. I moved to shut the door. Wait, Margaret cried desperately. What if I could convince the board to vote to dissolve the homeowner association completely? No more bullying and intimidation, I swear. Just please don't let this destroy us. I tapped my chin thoughtfully. Dissolve the homeowner association and sign over ownership of the vacant lot next door. Then we might have a deal. Margaret's face twisted in distaste, but she had no leverage left. Fine. Consider it done. Now can we please just make this go away? I'll be in touch, I said dismissively, gently closing the door on her crumbling empire. The plan wasn't easy or quick, but in the end, Margaret and her cronies were ousted. The Shoreline Homeowner Association was dissolved, and the local paper had a field day covering the scandalous story. As for me, I finally had the peaceful beachfront property I had always dreamed of. And whenever the sun rose over my expanded little slice of paradise, I remembered the look on Margaret's face as I shut the door. That image alone was worth the battle. You don't mess with a woman and her beach cottage. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. The next one is a pro-revenge story. The weight of expectations can be crushing, especially when family is involved. For Jane, the eldest of 5 siblings, the burden of responsibility fell heavy on her shoulders from a young age. With parents lost to addiction, she became a surrogate mother to her brothers and sisters, sacrificing her own dreams to raise them. Her youngest sister Emma looked up to Jane as the only mother she ever knew. So when Jane moved across the country with a new husband, Emma was heartbroken. For years she begged to join her, but Jane always refused. She needed her own life now. That changed when Jane got pregnant. Needing help, she finally allowed 16-year-old Emma to move in. Emma dropped out of high school to care for the baby full-time, believing this was her purpose. What started as a temporary arrangement became permanent, with Emma cooking, cleaning, and childminding daily without pay. One weekend, Jane dropped Emma off at their sister Alex's apartment unannounced. With the husband's family visiting, Emma's room was needed. As Alex studied for her master's degree, Emma confessed her buried dream of attending college. Alex encouraged her to apply, helping in secret so Jane wouldn't intervene. When Emma was accepted for that fall, she planned to share the news at their upcoming July 4th gathering. But Jane derailed that with her own announcement. She was pregnant again. Distraught, Emma thought college was now impossible. Harsh words flew between the sisters about selfishness and betrayal. In the end, Jane banned both Alex and Emma from her home. Alex eventually convinced Emma to return and smooth things over. They compromised. Emma could attend community college in a year, after the new baby was older, but she must continue her unpaid duties until then. Emma agreed, accustomed to obeying Jane's demands. Alex seethed at the injustice. She waited a year, ensuring Emma had saved enough money to get out. Then she set a plan in motion to secretly punish Jane. Scouring employment laws, Alex found Jane's treatment of Emma broke rules about paying and food shelter. She collected evidence on her phone of Jane's admissions. Alex could have reported this to Jane's civil rights law office, likely getting her fired. But protecting Emma came first. Instead, Alex targeted Jane's difficult coworker Ashley. Befriending her through yoga class, Alex slowly gained her trust. Once close, she revealed Jane's misdeeds, providing proof. Ashley, who already wanted Jane gone, now had the perfect ammunition. They agreed Jane could never know of Alex's involvement. So Ashley used the screenshots not to fire Jane outright, but to build a case for letting her go. Months later, Jane was terminated for minor infractions, unaware she'd been sabotaged. With Jane unemployed and Emma away at college, Alex finally felt justice had been served. Her sister was free from mistreatment, able to write her own future, and Jane was forced to shoulder the burden of her own family, feeling the crushing weight of responsibility she'd inflicted on others. The next one is Am I the A-hole story? I'm at my wit's end dealing with my inconsiderate neighbor James, 39M. I, 32F, have lived in my current house for about 2 years now. It's a nice quiet neighborhood, and I've never had any real issues with my neighbors until James moved in next door about 8 months ago. Let me give some background on myself first. I'm a single mom with 2 young kids. I work long hours as a nurse to provide for my family. The pandemic has already made life stressful enough without having to deal with a nightmare neighbor on top of it. Anyway, when James first moved in, he seemed nice enough. He's divorced with shared custody of his kids. We'd chat occasionally, and he'd politely wave hello. At first, I didn't think much of the constant stream of different women going in and out of his place. I figured it was none of my business. But then the noise complaints started rolling in. James apparently thinks he's the neighborhood party king. At least twice a week, he'll have rowdy gatherings going late into the night, blasting music and yelling. I've tried talking to him about keeping it down since he knows I have young kids, but he brushes me off saying I'm being a killjoy. The final straw came last weekend. I had worked an exhausting double shift at the hospital Saturday into Sunday. All I wanted to do was come home, hug my kids, and collapse in bed. But when I got home, I found a handful of James's friends parked blocking my driveway. I couldn't get in to pick up my kids. I banged on James's door, but the music was so loud they couldn't hear me. I ended up having to call my poor mom to pick up the kids for me. She's getting up there in age, and I hated to disturb her rest. When James's buddies finally stumbled out hours later, I let them have it. James came out saying I overreacted and needed to simmer down. I'm at the end of my rope. I feel like James has no consideration for me or our other neighbors. I regret the day he moved in. His entitled attitude is ruining what was once a peaceful community. Am I the a-hole for finally snapping at him and his inconsiderate crew of hooligans? I could really use some outside perspective here. Let me know in the comments. Comments for the story. Comment 1, you are the a-hole. Look, it was definitely crappy of James to host loud parties and block your driveway. But screaming at a bunch of drunk people isn't going to solve anything. You lowering yourself to his level doesn't help the situation. You should have called the police or confronted James when he was sober. Getting aggressive with a bunch of wasted partygoers could have easily escalated the situation. Next time, try a more level-headed approach. Comment 2, everyone sucks here. Obviously, James is way more in the wrong for his inconsiderate partying and disregard for you and the other neighbors. But you losing your cool and cussing people out probably didn't help matters either. Both sides need to learn to be more respectful. James needs to tone down the ragers and realize he lives in close proximity to others now. And you need to handle conflicts in a calmer way, even when you're understandably upset. Inconsiderate neighbors suck, but stooping to their level doesn't work. Kill them with kindness and keep documentation in case you need to get authorities involved. Comment 3, not the a-hole. You have every right to go off when someone repeatedly ignores your polite requests for basic decency. This James guy knew he was disturbing you and ruining your limited relaxation time, but continued his disruptive partying anyway. He and his buddies completely disrespected you by blocking your driveway when you just wanted to get home to your kids. They're the ones who suck here, not you. I probably would have lost it too after having my rest interrupted by inconsiderate jerks time and time again. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for finally standing up for yourself. Update. First of all, thanks to everyone who commented with your judgments and advice. After reading through your perspectives, I realized I needed to take more decisive action to resolve this issue with James. I decided to send James a certified letter detailing all the instances of excessive noise, blocking my driveway, and disregard for neighborly courtesy. I made it clear I had tried to address it politely, but he continued to choose disruption over consideration. I laid out very clearly that if he hosted one more disruptive party, I would have no choice but to call the police and report him for noise violations, as well as potentially sue for blocking access to my property. Well, it seems that finally got through to him. It's been 3 weeks now without a single rager at James's place. The other neighbors have remarked how peaceful it's been. I even ran into James at the mailboxes the other day. He apologized for his past behavior, saying he didn't realize how much it was affecting me. He assured me the wild parties were over. While only time will tell if he keeps his word, I'm hopeful that my assertive stance put an end to my neighbor problems. I showed James I wasn't going to enable his inconsiderate actions by just putting up with them, and I did so while still taking the high road and going through proper channels. I'm proud I stood up for myself while also keeping things civil and lawful. Thanks again for all your input. I couldn't have done it without the confidence I gained from this community. Here's hoping for many more quiet, peaceful nights in my neighborhood. Are you hungry for more slices of stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss out on any videos. See you tomorrow at Story Slices.